my voice is sounding not the usual. Yesterday I went to the private viewing of the exhibition that's opening next week, and it was with the mayor there, so the mayor of the little town that we live close to. And then there were some businesses there, like local businesses and local artists. So it was lovely to get to know each other and just mingle. But by the end of the evening, I started to feel quite a sore throat, and it progressed pretty quickly. So anyway, today I lost my voice. So maybe not the best day to do a voiceover, but I'm determined for this video to come out tomorrow, which would be today when you're watching, and it would be a Friday. So what I'm doing here is actually filming a process of a series of 3 abstract paintings. They're small, and in the previous video I have attempted a warm-up exercise from which I then based these 3 paintings, and so I'm mixing a color here, a dark kind of green, olive green type of a color with the acrylic inks. And basically I just put some earphones in and put some high energetic, high level energy type of music and sort of dancing, and I felt so in the zone. I made sure to kind of prop up the camera so that it's not in my way and I can film a natural flow of how I create. And I basically ended up taking those paintings to the exhibition yesterday. They're not framed, they are originals that can be purchased. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, and the process basically had a few steps in there. So all I knew is that I wanted a green wash and I wanted to have some pink in there as well, so the green and the pink color palette. But in the end, actually in the literally like maybe the last minute of the process, I made an executive decision of slapping some heavy body acrylic, and it just finished off everything nicely, but we'll get to that point in a minute. So this isn't really a tutorial in any way. I'm not going to talk you through step by step or try to teach you or make you understand how I create these. You're very welcome to watch the process, and the point of this video is to show you the creative process of how I do things. And yeah, and I just ended up cutting out probably about 10-15 minutes out of this video. So originally it was quite a bit longer, but I thought I will leave the essential bits for you to see. And what I felt was interesting yesterday during the exhibition opening and the private viewing of it, there was a lady that I didn't know what she did or what business she represented, but she came over and she started asking questions in a way that was a little bit funny. Like, you know, when you go to an art gallery and there's someone completely out of place and they just don't even know where to start, or like the correct terminology of simple like art stuff. And the artist, I mean, I never was on that reversed coin. I kind of maybe was that person many years ago, with very little knowledge about art, although art always existed in my life one way or another, but educating myself on art is something I have done quite a bit later in my life. But the point is that when she started sort of asking questions, it felt a little bit awkward for me to sort of how to explain politely, things. And amongst the questions, there was one which basically she asked, so this thing here, how do you get inspired to do something like this thing? And I didn't know where to begin. So I actually looked at her, and I thought that maybe introducing her to my stamp sets would be a better idea. Like, would be maybe a bit more easier to understand. Yeah, I mean, with abstract art, it's the thing that is the most interesting to me is the inspiration behind things is just impossible to explain. It's a concoction in your head. It could be, I don't know, a movie you watched. It could be a fabric you saw. It could be a plant or a combo of a color composition that you saw and you thought is quite interesting, and suddenly things come together in one piece, and it may not make any sense to some people, and I totally get it, but to me that's the beauty. I personally, as much as it may not make sense to some, to me personally, I find art that is like predictable boring unless it has for example, traditional botanical art that someone spends hours and hours perfecting it, and I see the beauty in that, even though it's an obvious flower or a fruit or vegetable. I see the craft behind it. But whereas someone paints a vase of flowers as they are, and there's like no creative input, I just find it incredibly boring. And that's my personal view, there's nothing wrong about having no understanding about abstract art and being completely confused by the whole thing, and it's equally not wrong to find something quite predictable and boring in a I don't know, in just a regular drawing of an apple, for example, is how all art classes start. I believe the first thing you get to do ever as an art lesson is draw a circle, and you need to understand where the light comes from and where the shadow goes, and then you have to translate that into an apple, and then you do that first with pencils, being just graphite pencils, then you move on to maybe colored pencils, and oh wow, you might also do it with some watercolors and some acrylic paints as well if you're lucky. So that's the level of boredom that I experienced, but of course we all have to start somewhere. But I think a lot of people, including myself, when they don't see art as it is taught, or maybe as it is used to be taught, then you will quickly get kind of off track. And especially if you're creating something where your art teacher is not quite understanding, it's not that it's not good enough. They might just not have the vision for it because they have been trained classically, and they are also a generation older than you, so they're coming, even slightly more behind with the knowledge of things. But art is an interesting thing, and what inspires you to create abstract art is everything around you. But the beauty is when you look at it is what you see, and you don't have to see what I see in the art that I create. And In fact, I love to challenge the viewer to see their own interpretation, their own picture. I don't want to tell them what they need to see. I want them to be open to the experience. I want them to maybe look closely to certain areas, like to zoom in certain textural aspects of my abstract art, because I find them delicious, as I am about to demonstrate here. I mean, to me, that is just deliciousness. I was talking to a few people, including the mayor, and explaining how fascinating I find these textures. And it also then gives me a lot of pleasure to just step back and look at it as a whole, and dissect it again if I want to into details. At the minute, I haven't added any of the finer details or the finishing touches to the like mark making is what I'm talking essentially, to the paintings. That's still coming, but when it's all finished, you have this overall kind of overview, and then also the detailed bits. As I was making art, I realized all my precious jewelry that I love wearing, rings in particular, I thought would be a good idea to take off as I got into this art making process, which is a very different place in that I find myself in creatively. It's not a clean art that I like and enjoy doing, like the modern botanical art is very precise, it's very clean. This is completely different. This is where I let my creativity go, and it gets a little bit messy, and I don't mind. This is the only time when I don't mind mess happening, when there is like a little drop of paint stuck to my fingers or something. So I thought I'd be better off taking the rings off and not feel any pressure getting dirty or anything like that. So the fun idea to add mark making to abstract art is, in a way, you could leave it, you could have it more open, like just some broader brush marks of the different paints. Here I had the acrylic ink, which I used as I would use watercolor, diluted with water, 2 different brush sizes, and then I added some heavy body acrylics, and then again some acrylic inks, or the high flows from Golden, and which are essentially acrylic inks. And then that would be it. But I also like to just finish a few things with a few little marks, just to build clusters and areas of interest. And I find that my eye draws to that kind of textural effect, as well as a bit of pattern going on. Also, I find it incredibly therapeutic when I'm adding these marks and patterns to the abstract paintings. I will let you enjoy a few minutes of this process, and I'll probably add some music to it while I give my voice a bit of a break. I have a ginger and lemon with honey tea that I shall drink, and I will see you at the end of the video. At this point I thought the paintings were finished, but at the very last minute of the process I realized I wanted to add the lightness back into the paintings, and so I took that light pink again and added it at the last as the last layer of paint. I hope you enjoyed this creative process and me taking you behind the scenes of how I create my abstract work for the exhibition. And yeah, leave a comment, hit the like button, and if you're not subscribed yet, then hit the subscribe button while you're at it. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.